And the last thing, or second to last thing really, to do on the barrels is to clean around the ejectors. I've seen a few guns from people who don't clean their guns at all well, and especially around here it's all gummed up with, you know, powder and solvent and all kinds of shit. So what are best to use around there are cotton buds, or if you're a Yank or wherever else, Q-tips. I know I said Yank. Please don't lynch me. I'm alright, please, I have a family. The best way to clean out with these is just to, you know, hold them, put a little bit of oil on the cotton bit, and just put it underneath the ejector. You'll notice that they're rolled up. See, the way they're manufactured, they're sort of rolled up, and you can rotate them in one direction and they'll be tight, but if you turn them the other way they get all floppy and fluffy and shit like that. Ideally try and keep it rotated in that clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. One's rolled up clockwise, the other end's rolled up anti-clockwise, so it's a bit of hit and miss. If you notice it unrolling, you know, reverse the direction of the brush. That just stops it from going all fluffy and bits falling off like that. So go underneath. It's a little bit difficult to show you really, because I need to be looking in there and you need to be looking in there, but just go underneath the ejectors, you know, give that a good old clean, generally around there. I mean, you can see where the powder and stuff accumulates. And likewise with these Berettas, where the lockup is provided by these two conical pins that go into the sides of the barrels here. You know, stick your cotton bud down there and give that a bit of a clean out. And the other thing a cotton bud is really good for is for getting into these sort of 90-degree angles where you'd be hard pressed to squeeze a cloth. So again, put a bit of oil in here and, you know, on the end of your cotton bud and squeeze it in there, and you'll actually be surprised that when you get into these little tight spaces, where they might appear to be perfectly rust free, you know, you'll take the cotton bud away and it'll be either black where there's a bit of crap in there, or it'll be brown or orange. You know, even where there's a tiny bit of rust that you can't actually see, you know, it'll come out on these cotton buds. And really anywhere sort of concealed which you can't get to with a cloth, you know. So down here where the barrel pivots around, you know, in that little cup, down behind underneath there where the ejectors are, underneath the clip for the fore-end iron, you know, down next to the rib on the shotgun, and if you ever get caught in the rain, get a piece of kitchen paper or rifle cleaning roll. You know, it usually comes in a roll. It's I think the one I have is Napier Rifle Clean. It's quite good stuff. And put some oil on there, you know, in the middle, sort of post it through underneath, and sort of, you know, put the gun somewhere. If you've got a gun vise, put it in that. If you haven't, just, you know, squeeze it between your knees and rest it on the table. And, you know, go underneath the rib, because that is, and especially down here, you know, where it gets small, you know, where there's that little point in there, that's where you'll get water accumulating. You know, it'll be under surface tension. It'll sit there and rust the tops of the barrels and the underside of the rib there. So dry those out and you know, stick some oil in there. And when you go to put it together, you know, oil everything around here, oil the bits of the barrel that you can't get to, that are underneath the fore end, the tops of the barrels, the rib. You may find you want to put a little bit extra oil on the cloth for oiling this, purely because it's, you know, it's stippled and you won't be able to get down in between the stipples. You know, you want to put a little bit extra so you can sort of brush it along there. And that's really the barrel's done. The next bit to do, you can do it in whatever order you like. I'd like to do the fore end, and there's not really much to clean on here, except for where it contacts other metal. Of course, you've got the clip down there, fuzzily, you know, where my left finger is there. I don't know what these are, something to do with ejectors, I think. But oh, you can see on there, there's a little bit of brown next to that pin. That's sort of oil and crap and grease and things. I don't know exactly where that comes from. And also down here, you'll find it's a little bit black. You can see next to my finger, and underneath that silver sort of rocker catch thing, there's a little bit of dark. You know, you can wipe that away. Obviously, don't use your finger. Use an oily cloth. I like to use the dirty one for getting the dirt off, and then when you go to put it back together, use the nice clean, oily cloth. And so there's not really much to do there. Again, if you want to get underneath these catches, use your cotton bud to get right in there. So that's the fore end and the barrel stand. And the last bit to do is the action, or receiver if you've got a pump or an auto. Now with this, just get your dirty oily cloth and clean down inside the action. I think these are called the action fences. And where the cartridges sort of butt up against the breech face, if you like, there. Again, with the cotton buds, get in any places you can't reach with the cloth. Any plunger things, sort of move those out the way and clean where they were. Clean any sort of load bearing or anything which slides against each other. Clean that and give it a light coating of oil. Some people recommend you use like a moly grease, the black grease you get. I don't. I find just a light coating of oil does the job. Is that when you put it back together, is
all bricks that you oil everything that you touch. So obviously I would put the snap caps in before then. So I'd have oiled those silver bits on the barrel. Oil all in here.
Clip the fore end back on, and then oil any other external metal surfaces. Also, before you put the barrels back together, what you can do is with the lamb's wool mop is go inside the barrel and put a light coating of oil inside the barrel and the chokes, and oil everything. Even this sort of nickel coated receiver, it may look rust proof, and it is rust proof, but it does discolour if you don't oil it. It goes sort of funny browny colour. So clean, oil, preserve. The other thing, if you don't have a synthetic stock,